Everybody, thanks for listening to the Triple B Experience. I'm your host, Bad Bubba Brewer. I just want to give you guys a little bit of insight about me, what makes me tick, what really gets me going, what pulls my jets when need be. I love professional wrestling. I wrestled for 17 years, and also I'm a huge Steelers fan, and I've collected comic books all my life. I'm going to talk about the stuff that I want to talk about. True experiences that are entertaining, and we recant them stories to you, the masses out there in podcast land. Join me on this crazy journey called the Triple B Experience.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Bad Bubba Brewer, and you are listening to episode 19 in 2012 of the Triple B Experience. I want to wish everybody a happy 2020. Hopefully everybody got what they wanted for Christmas, spent all their money, probably going to work 17 jobs to take care of the after effects of December. So I just want to say I have a lot of ideas for 2020. I'm also the co-host of the Triple B Double D Heavyweight Podcast, where we talk about professional wrestling with my host, Todd DeFazio, and the producer, Gary, the real deal Maverick McCoy. And the three of us sit in the studios in Idiot Radio Studio in Pittsburgh and talk about all the pro wrestling going on. And we will be kicking it off very, very soon because the Rumble is right around the corner. And you know when it's Rumble time, it's close to WrestleMania time, ladies and gentlemen. So I just want to give a big shout out to everybody that's been listening on idiotradio.net, iTunes, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and all other social media devices that you can listen to. I appreciate all the support. It's a journey, people. This is a journey. The podcast stuff to do is you have to cultivate it. It has to be cultivated, and you have to grow and nurture the podcast. And I listen to a lot of other podcasts, so I try to take some from everybody else because they're very successful in this field. I would love to be successful in this field. It's very hard, but as if you know, listen to me, you know I love to talk about stuff I love to talk about. I love everything that I love, and I'm here to tell you, the masses, on what's going on. So this is episode 19. Okay, 2020. And about a month ago, ladies and gentlemen, I won a competition that I told everybody about for the USA Today. An individual was looking for a co-host for the Pittsburgh Steelers podcast. Well, yours truly, me against 150 people, vied for that opportunity. And I want to say it was an opportunity, nevertheless. I hate to... I'm ashamed or mad about it, but it didn't last as long as I would have liked. At that time, I was doing 3 podcasts. So the gentleman was doing was more into stats, which I understand that. But I try to give my own flair and nature to the Pittsburgh Steelers in an emotional kind of way. And I just didn't... let's just say the product wasn't getting out the way I wanted it to get out, and it wasn't. It was taking a lot of time. It's very tedious and a lot of time consumption to do that one podcast. And out of all the 3 podcasts that I do, that one, because I do love the Steelers, was not getting me any type of way to do stuff. It wasn't giving me a positive flair because I had to do 5 to 6 hours of prep time. And I love to talk, but the individual kept me on the phone till late nights in the hours. I had to go to work. And he just couldn't produce it fast enough. And when we do a show, you know what I mean, 5 or 6 hours talking about it and then doing the hour of the show, and we're not getting the shows out. I did 4 to 5 shows. I'm happy with that. I learned a lot. Every time you do something in life, you learn something. I learned a little bit more of the podcasting business. I just think our styles didn't mesh, and I'm a person when my time is very valuable, and I didn't want to. I was in a family event, and I didn't want to do a podcast Christmas Eve, 2019, when I told him I could do it Monday before, which I had everything ready to go, and he never contacted me. So, hey, if I coulda, woulda. Hey, I was a co-host for a Steeler podcast run by the USA Today. Hey, I could pat myself on the back, put it on my resume, and just keep striving forward. And the forward I'm striving for is the Triple B Double D podcast and the Triple B Experience. So I'm happy, and I do love those podcasts, and it's so much fun to get into Pittsburgh studio with Mav and Todd, and we talk about wrestling. Wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. Professional wrestling. That is what I was doing for 22 years. This is what I was doing with the 19 podcasts about wrestling, Steelers, and other stuff I like to talk about. Some people might not like wrestling. Hey, it is what it is. But I will be damned if I will be disrespected from people that have no clue on, hey, how the business is run. B, they never did it. And C, they probably can't even do 5 push-ups. Now, I know I'm a little bigger guy than I was when I wrestled. Christmas time and Thanksgiving time has been very good to me. But I'm slowly trying to get back on like everybody else in America is trying to do now in January, getting back in shape. So I'm going to slowly try to tailor off of my waistline, but I'm not going to tailor off on my opinions and on how I'm going to be. You're not going to disrespect me. I'm not going to handle it. I'm not taking that. So, I mean, recently I had an individual talk about wrestling, and I posted a picture on Facebook. I'm not going to get right into the stuff, but I posted it. It was a negative thing. So I posted something and I told him how it was. And I told him, hey, delete yourself from my social media. So that's, people, sometimes you just got to delete the negativity. I don't think I'm negative. I just might bitch a lot because shit doesn't go right. Okay. And I'm a registered voter and I pay taxes, so I have the right to bitch. So people don't like that. But I also concur to things that could be corrected, and I try to come up with solutions to solve problems. So whether it be wrestling and life in general or whatever, I just do what I got to do. Okay. So like I said, I'm down to 2 podcasts. So I'm going to try to 2020 to reinvent myself, maybe get more out there, and definitely do a lot of stuff with Todd and Gare, like I said before. And we're going to slowly get into the Royal Rumble and make our picks. And then we'll go down to the studio and we can do stuff from our house and send it to Todd, like Skype or stuff like that. So sometimes it's hard for me to go down to Pittsburgh, and I'll try to do the best I can because I'm also trying to work, because the stuff I like to do isn't free, and I got to work for stuff, and I, slowly trying to do stuff. The downstairs is almost getting done. And also too, I'm just trying to get stuff done besides working out and work. I'm trying to think of ideas for the podcasts, and there's a lot of stuff to talk about. Guys, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. And on our next segment, I am going to probably come a little bit unglued. I know you people like that when I come unglued. I get emotional. I get hyper. I get loud and vocal. But what I want to do in the next segment, I'll let you know very soon. But I also just wanted to give a little shout out what I've been doing since the last time I talked to you guys. And where stuff has been going on and what I would like to achieve in 2020. And please, get on Facebook, hit like the Triple B Experience, listen to me on all the social media stuff. Go back to episode 1 and listen to now episode 19 and see how I have grown maybe matured, maybe not, and see how entertaining, because I try to be entertaining, because a podcast now, or the thing that could be very, very lucrative if I, bust down that door and try to get a good fan following and hopefully entertain you guys. So just look at all the social media stuff, Triple B Experience, hit like, listen to all my stuff, tell your friends, give me some feedback. I always like to have feedback, and you can contact me at badbubba77@gmail.com or Facebook message or something. Just give me some feedback. Let me know how you like the show. Let me know what I could do to make it more interesting, and maybe throw up some topics. I guaranteed, I know I keep talking about this, I want to get guests. I really, truly do. I don't know how to do it, but I've been saying that for years. So I know it's in the back of my mind of doing that, but you know what I mean? But I also have enough pop culture with the comic books and TV shows that are up here in my head to go off of, because I actually pay attention to all that stuff. So hopefully we can get into some discussions here later on in the show, and you guys can actually enjoy what's going on, because I know the second part, I'm going to be talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers on the one of the worst up and down roller coaster rides I've ever taken in watching the Pittsburgh Steelers in all my 49 years of existence. Okay, that's going to be coming up in the second part of the Triple B Experience. So, guys, thank you once again. Everybody have a kick-ass 2020. Come aboard the train to get on the experience of the Triple B Experience, because we are going to be grooving and moving and just living it up, ladies and gentlemen, 2020 on this podcast and the Triple B Double D Heavyweight Podcast. Talk about wrestling. We're talking about stuff I like to talk about, okay? Whether it's going out having a beer and listening to a band, which I love to do that too, but now I'm trying to get in shape, or to just staying at home and watching one of the greatest TV shows that I've seen in modern time, and it's The Mandalorian, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get it, and we're going to take it, and I appreciate all your support. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Triple B Experience, and I'm the host that just speaks his mind, and also it gets him in trouble, but I try to tell some stories. Bad Bubba Brewer.
The Triple B Experience.
We'll return after these messages.
For all your heating and cooling needs, service, and installation, contact our friends at Complete Comfort Heating and Air Conditioning. 412-513-3001. Doesn't your family deserve complete comfort?
Welcome back to the Triple B Experience. I'm your host, Bad Bubba Brewer. I just want to give out a plug to Idiot Radio. They're doing a big, huge charity show Friday, January 31st at 8 p.m. at 520 Brookline Boulevard. Headliner is T-Robe, with special guest appearances all night. Tickets are $20 in advance, $25 at the door, and all the proceeds go to the Stipenovich children. Okay, it's going to be a night of comedy. So if anybody out there in the Western Pennsylvania or in the Tri-State County area loves comedy, be there Friday, January 31st at 8 p.m. at Brookline Boulevard for the headliner, T-Robe. It'll be a great show for a great cause. So get your tickets. Tickets are going fast. Okay. I just want to say once again, this is the Triple B Experience. I'm your host, Bad Bubba Brewer, listening to it on iHeartRadio, idiotradio.net, iTunes, YouTube, and all other social media that you can connect to listen to podcasts, especially my podcast. But right now, we are going to talk about the aftermath of the 2019 Pittsburgh Steelers unreal, just the craziest year in my long time Steeler history. It started second game when Ben went out with an elbow injury, was out for the whole season. So we lost Big Ben. And then we gained Mason Rudolph as our second quarterback. He was a second teamer. He come in and played for Ben. And then we lost. We've lost. I can't even. There's so many people that we lost in offense and defense. We lost Stephon Tuitt for the rest of the season also. Okay. And when Ben went down, everybody wrote off the whole season, including myself. It was going to be, I take the Steelers, but it was going to be just a fucked up season. And boy, when I get to where I'm going to be talking about, it sure was fucked up. But we traded our first round 2020th pick of 2020 draft for Minkah Fitzpatrick, safety from the Dolphins. Now, when he came in, he was on fire. It solidified that defense. Now, guys, let's look at it this way. The Steeler defense hasn't been very good for the last couple of years under Keith Butler. They're not getting turnovers. They're not making big plays, in my mind. Some players this year, Bud Dupree come out of nowhere, shined for over 10 sacks, I believe. He's looking to be franchise tagged. I don't know what they're going to do with him because it took him 4 years to develop. And by that, ladies and gentlemen, our record for this year was 8-8. Like, this is the first time in the Pittsburgh Steelers that we did not have a 300-yard passing game. None of our Steelers offensive players were ranked in any offensive category in the top 10. And as long as I've read that or seen that in my entire life, and I just saw it last week, top quarterback, top running back, top receiver, we weren't even in any category. And last year, we had a 5,000-yard passer. We had a 1,500-yard receiver. We had another receiver with 1,000 yards. And we almost had a 1,000-yard running back. Connor was 900 some yards away. That's what he got. He was about 60 yards away from 1,000 yards. But Connor went out injury at the Dolphins game, and he wasn't. He came back. He got hurt again. I believe he got 400 or 500 yards. My stats, I don't have the stats in front of me. Sorry about that. I'm just going off the top of my head. James Conner is very fragile, and he is not a durable running back. I don't believe he's a starter in the NFL as of right now. They started to do stuff by committee when he was out with injury. They had their rookie Benny Snell, who actually did a lot better than I liked him, and he was doing pretty good. And then they got the white kid from the Chicago Bears. They signed him. He's very fast. He's good from the outside. He's not a real good runner in between the tackles, but he does have that excellent burst of speed, which could be very lucrative on us on our special teams. The only bright spot that I've seen in the offense, because the offensive line was fucking putrid, and Pouncey went out because of that suspension from Cleveland when he was putting the boots to, Myles Garrett, was the two receivers, Johnson and Washington, with the injury to Juju most of the season because Juju only had like 500 yards. Juju's got to be healthy next year. But I think the positive thing out of all this craziness was we have some young, good receivers now. Our tight ends were non-existent, just like Jurassic Park. Vance McDonald, I don't know where he was hurt a couple times. He didn't produce like he did the year before. Also due with the quarterback situation, which I'm going to get into here momentarily. And they made a trade, and they took the Vanett tight end from Ohio State from Seattle. As a good blocking tight end, and later on he was getting a couple catches at the end of the season. But the greatest thing, like I said, was the two young receivers. That was it. And also the comeback player of the year in my mind was Boswell. You know what I mean? If it wasn't for him, thank God, because we couldn't score 20 points to save our lives. So Boswell, in my eyes, got the comeback player of the year. Now I'm going to get to the quarterback situation. Mason Rudolph, probably his best game, I thought, was probably against the Los Angeles Rams, going against Aaron Donald. We beat the Rams in Pittsburgh, and then he got that, he got the Cleveland debacle and stuff, and he couldn't through those interceptions. And then out of the ashes rode Devin Duck Hodges, who come in. The city was overwhelmed with quacking ducks and all that stuff. He was a lot more mobile than Mason Rudolph, but his arm strength was not as good as Rudolph's. I think Mason Rudolph had a stronger arm, but our offense just could not get anything going all season long. It was every game was jaw clenching, just nail biting. I mean, we had everything up to we were the 6th seed for the wild card. Our defense was stifling since the Fitzpatrick trade. He interwoven into the defense. T.J. Watt is the force and should be, to me, because I'm probably biased, the NFL Defensive Player of the Game of the year. He got 14 sacks. He's fumble recoveries, interceptions, just lights out whenever TJ was on the field. And if it wasn't for the defense keeping the Steelers in all those games, we would have been way worse off than what we were. But going into December, which usually in December, the Steelers are actually a winning team in December. You know, good old Coach Tomlin gets his players ready. And we had this Sunday night matchup with the Buffalo Bills, and Buffalo's defense was astronomical. And they ran the ball very well. And we played them, but Devin Duck Hodges threw some crucial interceptions, and the Bills beat us and knocked us out. And that game knocked us out of the wild card because we had to go to New York, which I don't know what happened because the New York Jets were their number 2 rushing defense in the league, and we couldn't do diddly. Devin Duck Dodgers threw a picks. Mason Rudolph came in, tied him up at halftime, okay? Now, this was Mason Rudolph's redemption, okay? But then B.J. Finney stepped on his leg. A couple Jets fell on top of him, effed his shoulders up. He was season-ending on the IR. So we had to go, and we lost to the New York Jets. So Le'Veon Bell got his revenge, but Bell didn't really do too much against the Steeler defense. The defense can only do so much, ladies and gentlemen, when the offense can't score. Like, it's like a kid in high school trying to score with anybody. You know what I mean? He just ain't doing it, especially if he's he doesn't have the suave, sophisticated ways to do it. We just didn't have the suave, sophisticated ways to score on offense. We could not get it done, okay? And then, since we lost to the Jets, the last game of the season was against the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are a number 1 seed in the AFC with a rushing style offense that has never been seen ever, because during that Steeler game, they become the all-time number 1 rushing team ever and they didn't even have Lamar Jackson in. Harbaugh said almost all the starters out, some on offense and some on defense. The Pittsburgh Steelers had to win this game to get in the playoffs if the Titans lost. We were the 6th seed. The Titans did not lose. Okay? The Titans won, and they won real big. So realistically, we couldn't even do anything in that game. The defense, I think, said to hell with it. They got tired of supporting the offense, who couldn't support anybody. It just fell apart. It was not a good Christmas gift, because I love Christmas when we beat the Ravens. Who doesn't? Because I hate the Ravens, just like I hate the New England Patriots. I despise them both. And honestly, let's speak ladies and gentlemen. I don't like any team that plays the Steelers at that time anyway. So, but we lost to second string and third string running backs. I believe they were almost rushed for 200 yards. It was a total debacle of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Devin Hodges was running around for his life. It was just a perfect ending to a miserable year. I was ready for it to go. Like, I didn't want to see them go to playoffs and get shell-shocked like they would have been, but I figured maybe the defense could step up and just maybe have a quick score, and maybe they could get and run the ball like they were doing and take some time off the clock like they were doing at a couple of those games. And I believe they got away from it because Randy Finkner, who just signed, they kept him today, ladies and gentlemen. He will be your offensive coordinator, because we needed an offensive quarterback coach. He will be the offensive coordinator going into next year, and hopefully Big Ben can come back from that injury and have the comeback player, the story, the swan song that I want to see, and have him, just go out to the sunset. Just coming back to play a whole season. I'm not going to take the Super Bowl or bust. Just have him come back and just produce and just shut every negative person that was saying stuff about Big Ben. Quarterbacks like that are hard to come by, people. Remember, Bradshaw to him took 26 years. It was a long time, ladies and gentlemen. Quarterbacks don't go on trees. And actually, look at Dan Marino. Dan Marino is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, didn't win a championship. So, and hopefully now with our defense, I think Keith Butler is still something. If it wasn't for having 10 number one picks on defense, Keith Butler would be out of a job. And I'm still not a big Tomlin fan because he just did the whole month of December was a debacle. You know what I mean? And, everybody's like, he kept the team together and blah, 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 blah. Look, if it wasn't for the defense saving his ass, the defense saved his ass this year, it'd have been way worse. It would have been way worse. So Steelers are 8-8. It was a clusterfuck of a December. Not the year that I was hoping for. Hopefully we get some great draft picks. I know we don't have the number one pick. And hopefully we get some key veterans signed and we go out to free agency and solidify this team for the 2020. So that was my Steeler wrap-up. It could have been better, and I wish it would have been.
The Triple B Experience.
We'll return after these messages.
Looking for a creative idea for meetings, business lunches, and special events? Call Spiels on Wheels, food truck and catering, and take the stress away. For more information, call them at 724-244-9881 or on Facebook at facebook.com/spielson.wheels.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Triple B Experience in 2020. I'm your host. This is the first episode of 2020. I'm the host, Bad Bubba Brewer. And like I said, just hit like on our Facebook page, the Triple B Experience. I'm also the co-host of the Triple B and Double D Heavyweight Podcast. So hit like on that. And also get on every social media to listen to the Triple B podcasts and the Triple B Double D podcasts on Idiot Radio, iTunes, iHeart, YouTube, anything that you can listen to and listen to social streaming media services. Get it on, listen to it, and enjoy all our shows. So we are we talked about the Pittsburgh Steelers, about that debacle of 8-8 year, but also a big, huge thing happened in the middle of December. Now, I don't know if you guys know this. I think you guys probably do, because if you know me, you're listening to it. I'm a huge Star Wars fanatic. Okay, I've watched every single Star Wars movie in the movie theater since 1977. Okay, so my favorite of all time is The Empire Strikes Back. That is the number one movie if I had to rank them. for all 9. Well, including 10, which would be the Rogue One and then Solo. I thought Solo was good, and I thought Rogue One was very well done. I thought so. So I would consider that probably in the middle of Revenge of the Sith to Star Wars New Hope. But I don't know if I think they consider that. They do. But this new one, the last Skywalker, let's just put it this way. They tied up some loose ends. They brought the Emperor back. He was cloned, which I knew that going into reading Dark Horse comics of the Dark Shadow of the Empire when I was a kid. I knew they had cloning techniques, and I never got into reading a lot of the books, which has a lot of newer characters and an expanded Star Wars universe. I was into more of the movies, so I don't know much about. I never read the Star Wars novels. I'm not too much of a big reader anymore, unless it's comic books or reading stuff on social media. So I know what the hell's going on in the world. But I thought the movie was entertaining. Yes, there's a couple spoilers in there. I'm not going to say that because I'm not that kind of guy. I know it's been a couple weeks, but still, probably a lot of people haven't had a chance to see it. I know my other half hasn't had a chance to see it. And if she listens to the podcast, she'll be mortified to have me say the outcome, and I don't want to do that to Tammy because Tammy's a huge Star Wars fanatic too. Yeah, huge Star Wars fanatic, huge Steeler fan, and she likes pro wrestling. 3 trifectas, and she's an 80s girl that loves 80s rock and roll. You gotta love that because we are going to the Motley Crue concert. Yeah, I got tickets for Crue. Poison, and Joan Jett, and Def Leppard. Hopefully Vince Neil can work his ass off like I'm working my ass off to get in better shape, and he can perform like he did 20 years ago. We shall see. But anyway, back to what I was talking about. I got off the beaten path. Was the Star Wars. So it just clears everything up. So I thought it could have been done a little bit better. Certain scenes were very emotional for me. I'm not going to lie. I just thought it was a good end. Now, you got to remember, ladies and gentlemen, that Star Wars was bought by Disney. So Disney is good. And I understand a lot of people bitch because Disney's going to, sponge and squeeze everything. Okay, look. I'm almost 50 years old. Okay. Everybody can critique about everything and might not like it, but you know what? A lot of TV or movies or stuff, a lot of it's rebooted, redone. I understand that. It's hard to come up with some original concepts. I understand that too. But just to see Star Wars, on the opening credit in a big movie screen theater is still kick-ass to me. It turns me into a 12-year-old kid. Okay, so Disney, whatever monopoly they have, because they do have, you know what? I'm just going to enjoy the ride because between Star Wars and Marvel, I never thought that I would see any more Star Wars movies anyway, and I definitely would never know or ever realize in my lifetime that I would actually see an Avenger movie on the big screen and all the characters that I collect over here to my right behind me, all the comic book characters of Marvel, going to be on the big screen or the small screen. I never thought that. So, let's just enjoy it. I know everybody's a critic. I know, believe me, I have my moments too. Like, I wish they could have did a little better on Star Wars, just a little bit. I did like it though. I did like it. And it ties everything up, okay? And it ends that 9 movie trilogy, okay? And then Rey is going to go off and do her own stuff probably if they go that far, if she signs any movie contracts in her upcoming future, okay? But the Star Wars thing that I truly like now, it is kick-ass. It is something. It is interwoven into the Star Wars lore ladies and gentlemen, is The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian, the first season, 8 episodes, is the best thing on TV. It is the best thing that Disney has. I know thousands and thousands of people have dropped off when they had season 8 and they dropped Disney. Look, ladies and gentlemen, watching Disney is less than going out and getting a 6-pack of beer. Okay? And if you have kids, just showing your kids the new, which is old, but for them it's new, the old Walt Disney type of movies, the family entertainment, and Disney is just scratching the surface. Okay? The Mandalorian, that last episode of season 8 was phenomenal. They're already filming season 2. Okay? The bad guy is just phenomenal. It's the dude from Breaking Bad, and he always plays a badass villain. Okay? And the Mandalorian and the baby Yoda or yodeling will be taking off on adventures in season 2 because he's got to go find some of his kind, and that could take 3 to 4 seasons. And I don't care because it's something, and I like this approach with Walt Disney is you can't stream it. You can't sit there and watch 5 episodes and, binge watch. I think that's very, very smart because it actually gives you something to look forward to. I did on Friday nights, me and Tammy, we had to watch The Mandalorian. I thought so. Netflix, you binge watch and you can be done in a day and a half. And then what do you got to do after that? Nothing. Oh, I got to go find another thing to watch besides working and besides doing everything I possibly can do. Okay. But the thing is, Walt Disney's going to do it slow. They're going to do it slow with all the Marvel TV shows because they're coming. And like I said before, you got to have Disney to watch that so you'll know what the Marvel movies are all about. So Marvel under Disney with Star Wars is worth the $6.96 or whatever the hell it is. It's cheaper. I tell you what, ordering Disney for a month is cheaper than going to Sheetz and getting a salad with cucumbers and an egg in it because the salad at Sheetz is damn near $9. So after you eat that, you're effed. You're screwed. So realistically, for $6, you got a whole month of pure entertainment. Okay? Yes, and I'm happy with it. WWE Network, Netflix, and Disney. I get the bar done. I won't have to go nowhere. I'll just stay here. No. I like to get out and about. Okay? And me and Tammy, we went with Boothie and his other half and the Showhammers, and we took a limo down to this winery down by Apollo somewhere. I don't know. We took a limo. I don't know. It was in the back seat. And we listened to this band called Halfway to Hell or something. It was an AC/DC tribute band, and they were phenomenal. They had a Bon Scott and a Brian Johnson singer, and they were great. They were one of the best tribute bands of AC/DC. They topped the guys from the Rose Inn back in the day when, the little redhead and we moved the pool tables and they rock and rolled. And I thought those guys were awesome. These guys were phenomenal. They brought in a female to do as a bagpipe. She played the bagpipes, for It's a Long Way to Rock and Roll. Boom. She was there. It was awesome. We had a good time. It was done by 11 o'clock. Hey, I was home by 12. You can't beat that, ladies and gentlemen. When you're old, you don't have to stay out late. You can get it done early, and go home and then watch The Mandalorian. You know what I mean? So, and I'm also watching the Infinity Crisis on CW with The Flash and Arrow. The Infinity Crisis is a big DC comic book. I don't collect a lot of DC stuff, but I do watch the TV shows. 3 parts. They brought in all their shows and combined them. They killed off major characters. They're doing this, doing that. So if you like DC, watch the Infinity Crisis because we got 2 more, and then they'll show it, and then they'll turn. I think that was the last season. This is the last season of Arrow. I watched that the whole time through. And, I still watch The Flash. And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is coming back sometime probably this spring, I think. And that's done. Watching The Runaways on Disney. I got 2 episodes, me and Tammy. I'm not big into teenage stuff, but it's Marvel, and it's kind of crazy when the parents are evil and the kids are good. So, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff. A lot of movies out there, ladies and gentlemen, I need to watch. I don't have time to watch them. A lot of specials on Netflix, a lot of stuff. I just haven't had a time to watch stuff with the holidays, with going to do family stuff, and God bless the families. Big, huge shout out to the Rao family and the Brewer family. I appreciate, I had a Christmas thing downstairs, opened a bar. It was the karaoke, but we didn't do any karaoke. We didn't have ugly sweaters, but everybody came downstairs, and I hopefully they had a good time. Yeah, sometimes I'm a little OCD about stuff, but and the Giffords come down too, because Brad Gifford, good friend of mine, is the one that built the bar, and also with Kevin Adams. Kevin, helped me out too. Two of them did so much for me downstairs. I got a lot of memorabilia put up. I still have a lot more to go. Let's just say, ladies and gentlemen, frames aren't cheap. Nothing's cheap anymore. So I don't eat oodles of noodles because it's a lot of sugar. But I know eating healthy costs a lot. So, but I'm just going to keep, paying bills and trying to get in shape. That's what I'm going to try to do. So, like I said, if you haven't had a chance to go see The Last Skywalker, Star Wars, The Last Skywalker, get your ass in the movie theater and watch it. It's nothing better, I don't care, is to watch a Star Wars or a Marvel on the big screen, or Godzilla movies on the big screen. I'm not about watching like love stories and stuff on the big screen, which I don't watch love stories anyway. But there you go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's a wrap. This is the Triple B Experience. Like I said, check us out on Facebook. Check us out, the Triple B Double D Heavyweight Podcast, where we talk about pro wrestling. And I love that show. I love it. And I love this show too. And I love each and every one of you guys, you know what I mean, that listen and support me, because without your support, none of this matters. And I'm trying to get bigger, because I just know in the podcast world, if you got thousands and thousands of viewers, you can make money. Nothing wrong with that. So, okay, guys, I'm Bad Bubba Brewer, wishing you guys, this is the first episode of the Triple B Experience, wishing you guys a kick-ass 2020, and I'll see you soon.